This is Prep Period, an all-sports podcast by the Ventura County Star and the people at VCS Press.
Hello, Ventura County sports fans, and welcome to episode 11 of Prep Period, the Ventura County Star's all sports, all preps podcast. My name is Dominic Massimino. He is Joe Curley. We are sports reporters here at the Ventura County Star. Back for episode 11. How you doing, Joe?
Doing good. You beat me with trying to post, come join us on the live, and you started the show faster than I could post. So
we've gotten into
you win that one.
We've gotten into a rhythm. We've gotten into a rhythm here.
You're quick.
Yeah,
doing well. The rhythm has led us all the way to the last week of the football season, regular season.
Nice. I like that. I like that transition there. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today, but like you said, yeah, we've reached the end of the regular season for football. We are, multiple rounds into playoffs for volleyball and flag football. The cross country season's heating up, so we got a little bit of everything for you guys here this week. Yeah. But first,
water polo playoffs start.
Water polo playoffs. How could I forget? So we have first off kind of just the wrap up of an exciting week 9 of football. We were at a couple of games. We have gamers up on the site vcstar.com right now from the games that Joe and I were at. But really, kind of the most consequential game this week for the teams that were in it was Del Sol Santa Clara, and you talked with the coaching staff.
Coach Nelson.
Yeah, Coach Nelson. Got some information from this game. Tell us what people need to know about this Del Sol game.
Well, I mean, it was one of those games that both of these programs had circled on their calendars. It was the first game between 0-8 teams since more than a decade, and two teams that have scored a lot of points in recent weeks, and kind of both deserved a shot at a win. Hector Villasenor had 4 touchdowns. Jaden Ramirez 3 touchdowns and passes and ran for one. 63-13 Del Sol for their first varsity win in history. Santa Clara sophomore Justin Munoz ran in 2 touchdowns for the Saints. And it kind of gets, Coach Nelson said gets the monkey off their back. There was some question because I think there was a little, there was some, because of the Del Sol CI game has that cool Rose Cup / Rose Bowl kind of label on it.
Yep.
I think they were searching for a name for this game, which we will kind of work on as we go forward. I was joking that it should be the Jaden Bowl because Jaden Ramirez obviously transferred from Santa Clara to Del Sol, which was kind of one of the interesting points of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And you came up with an awesome stat for this game. Why don't you lay it on us?
Yeah, well, so I was kind of curious. These are teams that struggle to score early on in the season, and Del Sol in particular has really turned it up offensively the last 2 weeks. They were both losses, but they scored 33 points and 30 points in losses to CI and Carp the last 2 weeks. And those two numbers combined to 63 points, which is the number of points they put up in this win over Santa Clara. That number, 63, is 3 times the total number of points that Del Sol scored in their first 6 games of the season. So this is the trajectory for that Del Sol offense is definitely kind of they're on the up and up. Shout out to Hector Villasenor for the 4 rushing touchdowns. That's the way they want to play, Coach Nelson said. So must have been cool for him to do that in their first win.
I'm just glad Del Sol didn't score 4 more points. Do not want to talk about 67.
We made that joke in the Twitter Spaces, and it's slithered its way into the prep period as well.
You can't escape it. if you've got teenagers or preteens, you cannot escape it. Everything is 6-7.
Shout out Joe for setting me up perfectly to make that joke in our Twitter Spaces last Friday. That was beautiful. That was perfect team chemistry there from
There we go.
Mr. Curley and I.
And then key, obviously always one of the key games of the year, Thousand Oaks Newbury Park. The face of that one altered when Newbury lost Brady Smigel a couple weeks ago. And it was a totally different game, obviously without one of the two-star quarterbacks. Thousand Oaks clinched a playoff spot with a 17-7 win. Newbury scored in the first drive, went down and scored. You're like, okay, maybe they figured some stuff out. And then the TO defense said 3 times inside the 10, you're not getting any points. So that was the story at TOI, was that Newbury had their chances and they came up empty with 3 drives inside the TO 10. Most of those were all they had to do was score to tie the game. And then there was a late field goal that kind of put it out of reach for the Lancers. Jordan Johnson was one of many stars in this game. The Thousand Oaks senior had 116 yards and a touchdown on 22 carries. He also had the first and the last interception of 4 interceptions for the TO defense. And then anytime you talk about TO, you're talking about Hayden Vircher, always one of the best players on the field. He set up the Johnson touchdown. He scored his own touchdown to make it 14-7. Those were 3 minutes apart in the second quarter. And then with the 4-minute drive to end the game, there was a 4th and 3 that he made a play on and moved the chain. So yet another big night for Hayden Vircher and a big night for the Lancers.
Kind of a fun sort of niche style of player. Like seeing the stat line from Jordan Johnson, I was like, this is reminding me of a Jake Williams performance. The Grace running back that's so devastating on offense, and also at one point, I don't know if he still is, but was leading the area in interceptions with five picks. And cool to see a running back be so productive, and then also kind of get involved in the takeaways.
Those were not an easy 116 yards. The Newbury defense has, improved up front, and that was some hard running for a player who is a kind of a break, breaks long runs, and didn't get those 116. He had a couple 20s, but nothing that was like super long.
Definitely. And then the game I was at, Ventura hosted Oak Park in a game that had some playoff implications. Technically speaking, Oak Park was still in the in the hunt for a share of that league title if they could knock off Ventura with an upset victory. That didn't happen. Ventura plays a strong methodical game. They win 35-7. It could have been a lot bigger margin of victory. A pretty dominant win. For Ventura, they limited Oak Park to 58 passing yards, a touchdown and an interception, and only 115 rushing yards. And Oak Park, likes to run the ball with their quarterback, Grayson Ozat, with, a couple of talented running backs they have. But Ventura forces 3 and outs on the first 2 Oak Park drives. And then Oak Park, kind of sensing that, time is of the essence in this game. They really got to start, getting things going offensively. They go for it on 4th down on their 3rd drive, and they get stopped by Ventura, and that's pretty deep in Ventura territory. That was kind of the if there was a turning point in a game that Ventura dominated, that kind of felt like the gut punch there. Jesse D'Alba, a player we had ranked in our top 100 rankings, go check those out. For Ventura, had a sack and a TFL. Corner Miles Russell had an interception for Ventura. Just a really strong defensive performance. And then, on the offensive side of things, I talked to quarterback Derek Garcia after the game. It's the last time that core 3 seniors with Jack Cunningham and Tristan Phillips play. It's their last guaranteed home game. We don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs. They're on the road this week at Oxnard. But it was kind of an emotional night for those guys. Derek gave a good quote talking about, sitting in the locker room, how things sort of hit him all at once. Like, oh man, this is the last time, playing in Larrabee Stadium in front of my home crowd. Yeah. So,
for sure.
but yeah, they played great. Derek played great. Jack played great. Tristan played great. Didn't let the emotions of the moment kind of, throw them off their game at all. But one kid to shout out for Oak Park was Luke Zapko, sophomore. He had kind of the first play of the game. Ventura's on offense. He gets into the backfield for a big TFL, and it's like, whoa, this is kind of impressive for a game that we expected to go one way, and obviously it ended up going that way. But they leaned on him in the running game. He had 11 carries for 53 yards, which doesn't drop your jaw, but in a game that Ventura defense was playing so well, that was pretty impressive. And yeah, just a sophomore for Oak Park, so somebody to look out for moving forward.
The other big story, Pacific and Westlake improved to 9-0 apiece. We'll have a stat on that in a little bit. Taylor Lee, 16 of 29 for 375 and 2 touchdowns as the Tritons clinch a share of the Monmouth League Championship with a home win over defending champion Simi Valley. There's going to be some what ifs with Simi Valley because I think they are one of our talent-wise and whole and healthy. I think they're one of our best teams, but they just haven't been healthy all season. They've played, maybe the best schedule around them and Oaks Christian, and it's kind of worn on them. So they may end up missing the playoffs, which would be very rare for Coach Benkert. We'll see. They're 3-6 right now, and they've got a big game against Oaks Christian this weekend. Let's see. I am using the mic. But yeah, it's and then Westlake, it was kind of an interesting matchup with Santa Barbara because Santa Barbara's a really physical team. You're kind of wondering about how physical Westlake can be, although every time you kind of question that, they kind of pass that test. And it was 6-6, and then Westlake scored 26 straight points to win 33-14. And they just, Westlake keeps getting better and better, and more impressive. It's really, obviously the skill position group is very impressive for Westlake, but they're starting to get better play up front, and you start to believe in them a little more up front. Dylan Bruns, who's was a transfer ad at the SOP, has been a huge addition for them offensively and especially defensively. He had multiple sacks to a couple of the recent games, and so they're a deserved 9-0, and they are now one win away from being the first Ventura County team in history to follow an 0-10 season with a 10-0 regular season. So we're currently efforting how many times that's happened statewide. So because we're thinking it's something that's going to be very rare. So we will hopefully have an update at some point before they play Calabasas on Thursday.
Yeah, some great history in not to spoil anything, some great history in Joe's upcoming notebook. I think.
Yeah, I don't know if it's up yet.
Yeah, I don't.
Should be up.
Might be up, but some great history, kind of relating to this Warriors turnaround. I don't know I don't know what you had to do, how many Google searches you had to do to find some of the old headlines and stuff in that story, but very, very cool, very well done.
Well, gotta have an archive. It's the whole point of doing all this work if you can't refer to it 40 years later.
Indeed. An exciting game. Buena survived kind of the best Oxnard performance we've seen so far this season. Bulldogs get the 28-6 win at home. It was kind of they followed the sort of playbook that they have had in their wins. Buena did with 144 yards and 2 touchdowns from quarterback Blake Eberhard, and Jackson Roberts had 22 carries for 133 yards and 2 scores. They survived kind of a very impressive Yellow Jackets comeback led by quarterback Gavin Liston, who they got back a couple games ago. but it was just a couple of clutch defensive plays from Buena that secure the win. One of which was Gavin Liston runs in for a touchdown to get Oxnard within 28-26. And he is on the 1 yard line on the 2-point conversion attempt. He's trying to run it in again. He gets stopped by Tyler Jate and Joey Magdaleno on the 1 yard line to keep Oxnard from tying it up. And then on the Oxnard's final drive, the tight end Anderson gets into the backfield on what looks like it's going to be a very successful trick play. They get Liston, pitches it back, and then he's running downfield, getting ready to catch the ball. The defensive end gets in the backfield and bats the pass down. So just a couple of key plays there on defense get Buena to survive this one. And then a couple of quarterbacks setting records with Gavin Gray and Michael Denny, both setting new program records. Gray goes 15 for 27 passing for 224 and 4 touchdowns, the second of which tied and the third of which set a new program record for touchdown passes in a season. He linked up with Luke Boussier, Anderson Mercer, Tyler Starling, and Albert Bellingraf in that game. The previous record was Ty Diefenbach's 34 touchdown passes, and another league game, and hopefully quite a few playoff games to go. So we might see that mark go a lot higher this year. And obviously, then tell us about
Ty
Michael Denny.
Well, Ty Diefenbach's the starting quarterback right now at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. There's a lot of locals up there, so that's kind of don't focus all your Saturday energy on the SEC. You've got a lot of locals playing at some of these other levels. And then obviously Michael Denny was, we'll see whether he's the player of the week according to the poll, but certainly had the biggest performance of the week from a statistical perspective. He broke the single game passing yardage and touchdown records for Nordhoff, 504 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, in a 49-0 shutout of Carpinteria. Michael is, I think it's the 10th performance in county history of 500 or more passing yards.
Wow.
So very special. The previous record actually, I didn't put it in the roundup.
It was like 300.
I wish I would have put
it. It was like 320 yards or something. He beat it by like I think 160, 70, 80 yards.
Yeah, it was like 100. It was a ton, and it was actually the quarterback was Dylan Lowen's quarterback when he played at Nordhoff, and Dylan Lowen was a receiver, so he was a receiver in the previous for the previous record-setting performance. Actually, I should look that up and jam that in the notebook before it posts. But yeah, that it's Nordhoff football is known for running the ball. They're known for playing on that grass up in Ojai, and Michael Denny is really kind of breaking new ground. They've had some really Liam Stoneman, Tanner Workman. They've had some quarterbacks up there that have won a lot of games, fantastic performance from Michael Denny, who's breaking new ground up in Ojai.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, we've seen he was a player that I wrote about from that passing tournament, along with the likes of Riley Williams and Nate Perez and guys who have all kind of popped this year. But we were kind of waiting on a big passing performance from him. It's something that Coach Lowen had talked about coming into the year. And have we got our guest? Oh, are you talking, Joe? I'm not sure I can hear you.
So I jinxed myself. I think you can hear. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I jinxed myself. I got a FaceTime, and my
Did your AirPods pop over?
Yeah,
that happens to me all the time.
All right, I'm back
now. What was I saying? He was a guy that Coach Lowen had talked about a lot, and Denny had some big performances, but most of them were kind of flashing that dual threat potential that he has, rushing for a couple touchdowns. And cool to see him just really lean into the passing game and air it out and be so effective. So pretty cool for him. Have we talked about? I think you might have dropped your stat of the week into your discussion of Pacifica and Westlake earlier.
I kept it out.
Oh, you did.
So yeah, let's link it back over here.
So those two undefeated teams. You want to take this, Joe?
Yeah, a lot of work from Dare Eads on this. Ventura County has had two 10-0 teams in a season in a decade. Pacifica and Westlake were both 9-0, can give the area perfect pair of regular seasons this week for the first time since 2015. Everyone remembers 2015 as being the year Camarillo became the first public school in Ventura County history to reach the state uh, championship bowl. That was the Jay Constantine team. Uh, and then also Grace Brethren that year when both those teams went undefeated to CIF championship games. This would be if Pacific and Westlake both win this weekend, it would be the fifth time in county history we've had two undefeated teams, and Westlake would tie St. Bonaventure for the most undefeated teams, which would be five. And I think it's 37 10-0 teams in county history. And the other huge piece of note for Westlake is yeah, Terry gave me a list of all the 0-10 teams who had won 6 games. I think we found 8 or 9 teams that had won 6 games the year after being 0-10. So I'd gone from winless to winning teams.
Mm-hmm.
And 9-0 is the second most wins of any of those teams. Really, this Westlake team, depending how they do the rest of the way, kind of competes with the 1971 Rio Mesa team under the great John Reardon.
There's that headline.
Yeah, they went from 0-9 to 10-1 and won. They beat Paso Robles in the Class A CIF championship game. So yeah,
from rags to riches, was that the
rags to
line?
riches was the headline in that edition of the Star that year. So
love it,
big time. So and obviously talking about the these players, make sure you go vote in the player poll this week, which is up for week 10 or for week 9, last week's performances. It's done really huge numbers the last couple of weeks. People are really loving voting in this poll.
Shout out to the Oak Park I'm sure players, families, parents, coaches who voted for Grayson Ozat last week in, I think, maybe one of our record breaking
that was
2 weeks ago.
Was that last week? That was last week.
Yeah, last week's poll. I think maybe a record breaker.
And Casey,
you have a friend behind you. You have a friend behind you, Joe. It looks like.
Bro.
This is why I bar the door and put a mattress in front of it, so my dogs
Wild Kingdom over here.
My dogs like to howl. That's what the Huskies do. And yeah, now's a good time also just to pop in and say. Subscribe to the Ventura County Star. Support the work that Joe and I do, that all of our talented colleagues do over at the Star. I mean, you guys are here for the sports, but you also need to know, everything that's going on in your community. That's what we do for a living. That's our goal in life, is to kind of give you all the information, all the crime news, the breaking news, investigative reporting from our super talented colleagues. So go check in, subscribe if you can. You can get a digital only subscription. You can get the print newspaper, which, hey man, to me that never goes out of style. But yeah, just go subscribe, go follow us. Subscribe to this podcast. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can just hit that little subscribe button. Yeah. And then Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Boost this, show it to your friends, show it to your family, anybody who is interested in Ventura County sports.
Yeah, I've been posting the subscribe link on social. So it's at vcstar.com/subscribe. And it's still the best deal around. Gets you my rankings, gets you our player ratings, gets you all the coverage that's behind the paywall every week. And we'll, you also support our work here as we cover as many Ventura County young athletes as possible.
Definitely. Yeah, we are as you'll see in the next couple of segments of the pod, we spend a lot of time on football, but some of our most talented athletes are on the volleyball court, on the flag football field, in the pool. So we'll be talking a little bit about that later on.
Go ahead and start second period until our guest calls in. I just texted him.
Perfect. So speaking of, you guys don't have to wait very long for us to talk about non-football stuff. Yeah, we had some news this past weekend. I was following up on the Mount Sac Invitational. I feel like I say historic with all of these meets because they've been around for so long, but Mount Sac really does fit the bill there. It's the course for Southern Section CIF meet. The course changed last year, which is important to note, and we are going to jump back to that news in just a minute. Let's admit Coach Montoya from Santa Paula. Coach, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Let me move around, make sure that we have I'm going to pin you, Joe, so we don't have a little white space on our screen.
Just don't break the skin.
There we
Coach,
go.
Welcome to Prep Period. Obviously, we've known Coach Montoya for a long time. It's a very special week and a very unique week in one of the biggest events of our sporting calendar here in Ventura County. Fillmore plays rival Santa Paula on Thursday night, which is the 30th, day before Halloween. And this year, Santa Paula is hosting the game about 15 minutes away from campus at Ventura High, trying to get the toughest ticket in Ventura County, trying to get more people in to the most historic rivalry in Ventura County football. Fillmore at Santa Paula. Coach Mike Montoya of the Santa Paula Cardinals is taking a little bit of time out here on, I'm sure a very busy week. So I don't know, flew us in on what it's like to be in Santa Paula on campus this week.
Well, the excitement is at a high level, to say the least. It always is during Fillmore week. And, this is a great game to be a part of. And the rivalry is what it is. And everybody is really excited about the game every year. And, it's a little hectic around here this week.
What makes, obviously moving the game to Ventura, has this week been any different than previous years because of that?
It has been a little bit in that, I'm not having to get bombarded for ticket requests and things of that nature. But, it's still the same excitement, and, it's moving to a bigger venue. And I think they did it to accommodate more people, and we'll see how it goes. But the excitement is still there.
Lets you be a full-time football coach instead of event coordinator and public liaison and ticket procurer. That's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So, somebody we've talked about with your program a lot this year is your quarterback, Renee Vega. We've talked a lot about how much he's grown over the course of the season, how much he's kind of, helped transform your offense. But, obviously that injury to him, has been tough for you guys. Just tell us about kind of his growth as a player, how, him, featuring in the role that he has sort of transformed the way you guys have attacked this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's a student of the game, and he really takes the craft of playing the quarterback position seriously. And that's shown, just from the beginning of our workouts in the summer to the first couple of games. He just mentally has just gotten stronger and stronger, and just a great kid, and easy to coach, very coachable, and we look for big things for him in the next couple of years. And yeah, we were hurting without him, to say the least.
Do you want to update us on his availability this week?
Well, I'm not saying this to add drama, but we still don't know. We hope that, he can get cleared, but at this point, we're going to assume that he's not going to be cleared, but I don't know. He's going to see a doctor, I believe, later this week, and fingers crossed. But, hopefully he's okay. I mean, the big thing is for him to get healthy. Of course, we would love to have him for this game, and we miss him, but the health of the young man is of the utmost importance to us at this point.
Love to hear that. That's an important way of looking at that. So, but given the fact that he may not be able to suit up, I'm sure just in terms of preparation for a tough Fillmore team, does that kind of imply that you guys might try and lean a little bit more on the run, lean on your running backs and that offensive line you guys have over there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're gonna have to adjust accordingly. Not having him really puts a dent in our passing game. But we brought up our JV quarterback, A-Rod, Anthony Rodriguez, a couple weeks ago, and he's shown growth in the last 2 weeks. His first game out there, he was kind of a deer in the headlights situation with him, but he's settled down and he's made a lot of strides here in the last couple of weeks, and just really proud of the way he's taken the reins and hasn't blinked.
Coach, any fun memory? I mean, obviously last year, you guys took this game. You've coached in this game now many years. Any fun? What's your biggest memory from this game, or some of your biggest memories? Fondest memories of what really is one of the special nights of the sporting year for us.
Well, that's a great question. Every year is special. Some of my fondest memories were from when I first became head coach, and my first time stepping on that field as a head coach in this game. And I looked around, and you could feel the atmosphere and the excitement, and it goes up times 10 for this game for every year. And so I think the first game was pretty good memory for me. We won the game, a very close game. I think it was 14-7, and I got a taste of what was to come, from this rivalry as a first-time head coach, and that's one of my fondest memories.
You have to imagine. I mean, I imagine just looking out on the sidelines of a Fillmore Santa Paula game, how the kids must feel, just like getting to take all of that in. But as a coach too, I'm sure you feel a lot of emotions too, getting to see those kids, that you work with throughout the year get to experience such a fun environment. Like, what's sort of the emotions for you just generally year over year being on the sideline? Are you as locked in as you are for any other game? Are you more locked in? Are you maybe a little out of it sometimes, just with how crazy that game gets?
Well, it's a matter of controlling yourself, and I tell the kids the same thing. There's a lot of outside distractions, and there's a lot of energy going on, but push comes to shove, it's football, and it's blocking, it's tackling, it's throwing, it's catching, and it's still a football game to be played. But I'm happy for these kids each and every year that they get to experience a game like this and in an atmosphere like this, and it's something they'll remember forever. So each and every year is special, and this year is no different.
And then obviously Larrabee Stadium is a place well. I mean, that you've played there in high school. Anything about your memories of playing at Larrabee and how you think maybe Thursday will be different than most Santa Paula Fillmore games on campus?
Well, I have fond memories of Larrabee Stadium. Yeah, I as you said, I played there when I played in high school and played against some very good Ventura high school teams, and that was a long time ago, and it was a grass field back then, and things were a little different. But I've always liked the venue. It's a good place to have a game in. And we're looking forward to it.
And then,
I remember those days. It was never a grass field; it was always a dirt field.
Yeah,
especially late in the season. So, we talked a little bit about your offense and what we may or may not see. But just looking at across the field to the other sideline at Fillmore, a team that's done very well this year. Just what do you feel like are the keys specifically this year, going up against that Fillmore team to producing a Cardinals win?
Well, first and foremost, they're very good at running the football. They've had a great season running the ball, and first and foremost, we have to stop the run, and it's like any other game, but more so here because they're so good at it, and we understand they're having a great season. They're well coached, but as I've been telling the kids, it's more about us and how we execute. And we can control what we can control. And first, it's going to be a great game. But Fillmore's well coached, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. We're looking forward to seeing you out there.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. Have a good week.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes. Go Cards.
Good way to end it. Go Cards. So we were talking a little bit of cross country before we had the pleasure of interviewing Coach Montoya. That's going to be a really fun game this week. It is Thursday night, correct, Joe?
Yeah, it's Thursday night. Games are the tickets are available on GoFan. They've already sold more tickets for that game than they would have been able to sell at Jones Field. So that first box has been ticked. Certainly, I think they probably want to get more people in the stadium just so they can, pay for those buses that's going to take all the kids, and I'm sure pay for the venue and all that stuff. So I'm going to check in to see how ticket sales are going later. But yeah, let's get back to cross country and then talk some other sports. I've got an animal kingdom issue here that I have to handle. You take cross country for a second.
Sounds good. Yeah. So first thing to talk about. One moment. First thing to talk about is cross country. So yeah, historic Mount Sac Invitational. Historic, I say once again. It was a year this year that generally speaking, teams. Well, I talked with Derry Eads about this, who's covered cross country, in this area for forever. Generally speaking, teams will pick between racing at Mount Sac and racing at the Ventura County Championships. It's a time of the year where these races are not important for postseason qualifying, that kind of stuff. That's coming up in the next couple of weeks. So it doesn't pay to race yourself into an injury or overtrain yourself in these couple of weeks. The one exclusion to that general trend this year was Sabina Cruz, who runs a very good time for second place at the Ventura County Championships, and then comes back this week and races in the Division 1 and 2 team sweepstakes with her Westlake teammates. She gets the win in 17, what was the exact time? 17:39.6, which was a freshman course record on that Mount Sac course that changed last year. So in the second year of races on that course, she sets the freshman record, drops 21 seconds under the previous record. It's just been an awesome year for Sabina Cruz. I mean, we've had, Ayla Curtis kind of setting the pace for locals up front. She's, gearing up for a big state meet and a big postseason run, hopefully for her. But yeah, Sabina has been, leading the way for all of the freshmen around here.
I mean, it is kind of how we've seen, obviously running in Ventura County is one of our most tradition-laden, talent-laden sports. And it's like, just when you think, oh, okay, well, maybe we'll hit a downturn here with, sending Sadie Engelhart onto North Carolina State.
Yeah.
Or the young boys onto Stanford and onto the Olympics, what's next? Then all of a sudden, here comes the next freshman. I mean, we've seen it once, we've seen it 1,000 times. I mean, the running here is just spectacular and phenomenal. And who wouldn't want to run in Ventura County with the open space that we have? And it's part of what makes Ventura County a really special place is the tradition of running and the location and vista of just enjoying that sport, as I'm sure you're starting to get a handle on here, bud.
Side note, I had basically hung up my running shoes for a long time. My girlfriend is a great runner. She dragged me out to Harmon Canyon, which is quite close to our house in Ventura. Dragged me out to run, and I thought I was gonna die. I ran like 3.5 miles. I wore her GPS watch. My heart rate got to 190 beats per minute.
What?
Yeah,
dude.
I know.
You can't lose.
I was like, seriously. I was like, I gotta calm down, bro. I gotta stop. So, very impressive stuff.
You try to run with a woman who's running sub 3-hour marathons.
Yeah, shout out to Cora. But yeah, so just excellent stuff from the freshmen. If you haven't read my feature on some of those freshmen, the Cruz twins, Kathleen Lamb and Anya Patillo at Oak Park, Sterling White at Oaks Christian, go back, find that on the Ventura County Star website. Learn a little bit more about where these kids come from. Like you said, just coming out of the woodwork, the freshmen are. Let's talk flag football, though.
So, we're in our third year of this kind of, of the explosion of this new sport. Like we needed another sport, but flag football has been an absolute phenomenal ride. It's a lot of fun. I mean, people were texting me last night, like about the Dodger game. And I'm like, and I was like, what do I could take a break for the Dodger game. I got this Camarillo Division I quarterfinal. It's two of the top 10 teams in the nation. And it's a lot of fun. Camarillo, went up 6-0 against Huntington Beach, before losing its third game of the season, second game to Huntington Beach. So, they were eliminated in the very toughest division. Camarillo and Oxnard, the only two Division I football teams we're going to have this fall. So, shout out to the Scorpions who had an absolutely incredible season. A lot of fun watching Smitty and that team compete. We have 4 teams who will play Division II and IV sectional quarterfinals tonight. Newbury Park heads to Bishop Amat. Ventura is heading to it's not the rundown. There's so many Orange County teams. Anyway, Ventura's playing tonight as well. If those two teams win, it will set up what would arguably be the biggest flag football game in the early history of the sport. Newbury Park Ventura for the D2 semifinal winner would be the first sectional finalist in county history in that sport. Westlake, I think, is where I'm going to be tonight. They're hosting their Division II quarterfinal, and then Royal has had some really crazy games where their games have gone down to the very last possession both times. So they play tonight on the road, and
fun fact for Huntington Beach, I was trying to remember where I had seen a Huntington Beach team play, what sport it was in. Last year I covered that Ventura Huntington Beach flag football game in the first round of the playoffs. They took down Ventura 35-20 to knock them out. So they've had a couple of years against Ventura County teams sending them packing.
That was a girl win, might have been a wild card. Yeah, it was either a first or second round game. So it's Newbury Park at Bishop Amat. It's Ventura at Corona Del Mar, which is the team that beat Agoura 20-18. So that should be a really good game. And Westlake is hosting a Downey team that has beaten San Clemente and San Dimas. The big storyline so far, the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, is that Orange County is supposed to be ahead of us by a couple of years in this sport, and our teams have eliminated. Even though we lost to Huntington Beach last night, Camarillo lost. There was, I think we've eliminated 4 or 5 Orange County teams already so far. Royal is at Compton High in D4. So Westlake is the only home game tonight. If we get this up in time, I'll post the schedule so people are aware of this. But if you haven't seen a flag football game yet, it is a lot of fun.
It's so fun
and super fast and entertaining, and it's very quick too. Like it's running clock until the last couple of minutes of every quarter, and so the games only take about an hour and a half. So I only missed a couple innings of the baseball game last night. I watched the beginning. I went down to Camarillo, covered that game, came right back up, and kudos to the girls. They're just phenomenal to watch all these teams.
And you look at kind of the quarterback position in general has become so important. It's always been important in football, but for flag football, you see just incredible athleticism because of how much importance there is on that position in flag football in particular. Across the county, you see tons of multi-sport athletes like Smitty at Camarillo, like Vanessa Cano, Ava Ortman. You have all these really athletic
like
kids.
Our player of the year last year.
Exactly.
Jessie was she's a Division I lacrosse player.
Yeah. So very cool to see kind of the athleticism at that spot. Every time anyone says San Dimas, I think of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
San Dimas High School Football Rules.
San Dimas.
I have a buddy who actually grew up in San Dimas. I played baseball with him in college, and that's some big time. Anyway, don't get me going on Bill and Ted. That I cut you off. Were you talking about Bill and Ted's, or was it something different?
Oh, I don't know. I think it was just talking about the quarterbacks and stuff.
Said he missed high school football rules. Am I dating myself? No, anyway. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Keanu Reeves, no?
Yes, absolutely.
Bueller?
Absolutely. Bueller.
Cool.
So in volleyball, we have some excitement as well. 6 local teams qualifying for the Southern Section quarterfinals, which is 3 times as many as last season. So you have some depth there from local teams playing Wednesday night. Ventura, Oak Park, Royal, Nordoff, Foothill Tech, and Thatcher are all playing. Last year, it was just Oaks Christian, Newbury Park, and Royal who made this run. So pretty cool stuff. Royal has won in straight sets their first 2 rounds. Last week, Jaden Alexander, outside hitter, had 19 kills in the win, and Lauren Lacey, the setter, had 40 assists. And so they're going to host Alta Loma on Wednesday night. Looks like Joe has more animal things to be dealing with. In D4, Ventura is going to play at Paloma Valley, and Oak Park is going to travel to Linfield Christian. Interesting with just those 2 schools. Last year, our deepest playoff run in the section playoffs was Newbury Park, who was a team that kind of, I don't want to say underperformed, but we're in that really tough Marmani League, sneak into the playoffs and then make a deep run. It's kind of something we've talked about in the new playoff format for so many sports, so many programs. And so you kind of look at that D4 bracket this year, like, that we have 2 teams in the D4 playoffs this year in Ventura and Oak Park. Ventura kind of had that same thing happen to them. They were missing a bunch of players, a lot of injuries throughout the year. They heat up at the end of league and make it into these playoffs, and now they're cooking. So that's kind of a storyline to watch to see if things play out the same way this year.
Yeah, Linfield Christian is a team that's played a bunch of our teams in the playoffs recently in volleyball. I think I covered a Nordoff Linfield Christian CIF semifinal or final recent for a couple of years. So certainly, our teams tend to face that program. It's a really good program.
Nice. And then in these these lower divisions, we have a lot of teams as well. Foothill Tech, the number one seed, in Division 8, hosts Malibu. Nordoff in D9 will play at Fairmont Prep, and then Thatcher is hosting Colton in the Division 10 playoffs. So exciting stuff in volleyball. The one kind of note here is that a really rough first 2 rounds for our top division league, the Marmani League. Oaks Christian, Agora, they get 4 teams into these playoffs. Oaks Christian, Agora, and Newbury Park all lose their openers. Oaks Christian was in D1, and Agora and Newbury Park, I believe, were both in D3, while Thousand Oaks makes it into the second round of the D2 playoffs and then drops a 3-1 match to J. Sarah. So no more Marmani leagues. Our toughest league. It was a battle all through league for all those teams, but yeah, it shows just how good those top few divisions are, where all 4 of those teams were playing.
Yeah, great seasons to all of them. And
you want to move forward, Joe, to talking a little bit about, we're going to talk about this a lot next week when we have, next Tuesday when we have these, playoff seedings. But last chance for us to talk about kind of what things are looking like for playoff projections in football.
So let's call this a first glance at the, what the football bracket will look like. Obviously, there's one more week of data to put into the ratings. And so things could shift, but it's essentially looking like for the first time under the system, we won't have any teams in divisions 1 or 2. Obviously, Newbury Park won Division 2 last year. Oaks Christian almost played them in the final, lost an overtime game in the semifinal. So we almost went from dominating Division 2 to not having a team in it. Our number 1 ranked team is Pacifica, obviously 9-0. They're the number 1 ranked team in the Star. They're our number 1 rated team as well. They're at 37. They're looking pretty solidly in Division 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Coach Moon has done a good job kind of managing. Last time they were undefeated, they were in D2 and lost their opener. We've had a bunch of teams obviously go 10-0 recently and then lose their first playoff game because you get kind of too high up the divisions and you end up playing a team that maybe you're not equipped to play against, or maybe shouldn't be on the field against. And for some people, I would argue. and it's obviously last year Newbury Park ended that streak. They were looking like the team that was going to go 10-0 and lose in the first round of the playoffs, and they went and swept Division 2. So, but that's what happens when you have a generational quarterback and a team, and the greatest receiver in California history. And anyway, we'll stop. Those those days are over. And then it's looking like it's similar parallel to recent years in that we've had a lot of teams in Division 4. I couldn't tell you why that happens. The second tier of our teams always tend to be in that division, that fourth division. Last year, I think we had 4 or 5 teams in Division 4. This year, you could have Oaks Christian, Westlake. I put Bishop on there. They're obviously not one of our teams, but they're a northern division, a northern area team. St. Bonaventure, and if Simi sneaks in as an at-large, they could be in Division 4 as well. So you could have anywhere between 3 and 4 local teams in D4. It's looking like TO and Newbury Park would be in 5. Newbury, depending on how they do this weekend, might get dragged down to 6, which I think would be kind of interesting for them in the post-Smigel kind of situation they're in.
Can you, Joe? Can you backtrack and tell us about how crazy that would be if we see Oaks and Westlake play each other
in my notebook
playoffs?
In that notebook, there was a couple little notes I put in at the end where right now, if the season ended today, you would have Oaks play Westlake in the first round of the CIF playoffs, which is the resumption of a rivalry that hasn't taken place since Westlake left the Marmani League a couple years ago. So that
storylines abound.
It's kind of like mind-blowing is when you try to figure out what would happen in a game like that. So that would be really cool if we had that kind of local I usually don't like 2 teams from the same league playing in the first round of the playoffs. Obviously they're not right now in the same league. So that would be fun. You or I would definitely cover that. And then
I'd fight you for
the other thing I mentioned right up before it. So we got a mess that you don't know Tony Henney. Tony Henney is Ventura.
I met him because I met him when Pacifica did the walkthrough at Dana Hills before the state bowl game. Yeah.
Right. Shoot, I should have mentioned that.
Yeah.
Man. So good call. So Tony Henney sent me a text this week because his Dana Hills Dolphins are rated 32. Which is 5 spots higher than any Ventura County team. So it was like, he took the opportunity to rub it in a little bit. They're 8-1. He's doing fun. Obviously, he's one of the best coaches from Ventura County. He led Nordoff, his alma mater, to 2 CIF championships. He beat Mike Moon in his very first game as Pacifica High head coach, 44-7 as Nordoff head coach. He also coached at St. Bonaventure and Westlake before heading back down to Orange County. So I don't think it right now it's totally that matchup, but if one little thing changes, you could get Mike Moon and Tony Henney meeting up, a reunion in the first round of the playoffs as well in Division 3. So that would be super cool as well.
I saw Tony tweet. I think it was Tony tweeted a photo out from the stadium there in Dana Hills of just like a completely packed stadium that was all the text said was like Dana Hills football school. So it's awesome to see what he's doing over there.
When he sent me that text, my response to him was Dana Hills football school because I had seen the same post.
I love it.
And then it's kind of interesting now, right? You could have Agoura, Moore Park, Ventura. They're all around D6. So you got like 3 of our better teams that have competed for league titles, kind of finding that level.
I sent you a text before the season began when we were looking at league previews and stuff. Do you remember this? When I said, anytime Agoura, TO, Moore Park, and Ventura play each other, I want to cover those games because I thought those 4 teams were all going to be kind of around the same spot. And I think that's playing out. I would love to see any of those teams face off in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen Moore Park Ventura play. I think Ventura Agoura would be a super fun matchup. Just 2 stud quarterbacks.
Just the quarterback matchup itself would
be so cool.
That quarterback matchup. Moore Park. Agoura would be fun. We'll see. We'll cross those bridges when we get to it. But they should all be grouped kind of similarly. And and then you get down the bottom every time since the system has been like this. I've always really kind of tried to focus on, okay, who's our one team that's down in like D6, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 that could really make a run. A couple years ago,
Hmm.
Buena went to the D8 final, I think it was. Who's this year's Buena? Could it be Calabasas? Could it be Fillmore? Could it be Oak Park? I think we've kind of focused on Oak Park a little bit as a team that I think would be D11.
Fillmore is all the way down at 151 right now.
I mean, so they've got an opportunity to make a postseason run. Santa Paula, if they could sneak in, the
Hmm.
quarterback injury has kind of, they were 4-1 when they lost the quarterback, and now they're 5-4.
Yeah.
They've made it in as a non-automatic, and they've done well in the playoffs. So I'd like to see them. If they can get Renee back, that would be a team that really could make a run in the postseason. And then the thing I really looked at, something that we'll talk about in this next period, is that if Channel Islands gets in, they would be in Division 14. And you're talking about
Yep.
the second biggest school in Ventura. You're talking about one of the main flaws in this system is that when you get a big school down at the bottom in 13, 14, you know, you kind of get like the cat amongst the pigeons a little bit and like, really can make a run. Wainimi had a year like that where they got like some Orange County private school in the first round of the playoffs. I think it was St. Margaret's when I think Coach Mack was their coach. It was the year after Coach Mack. And I was like, if Wainimi gets in D10, they're going to win D10. And then they got St. Margaret's and it was like 7-0. It was like no points. It was just they two teams just beat each other up. I think Channel Islands, if they get in, it would be their first playoff game in 12 years. If they get in, look out. That would be pretty cool for the Raiders.
Yeah,
But they got to beat.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
talk about that in a second.
I mean, we were talking offline about how much better that offense has looked. Rajay Moody is somebody we've talked about since the beginning. Also, we knew he was going to do some stuff. We didn't know how much, but oh my goodness, you said, I think in that in your story posted this morning that he's accounted for like 38% of their total touchdowns,
35% of their touchdowns,
and
he's
like
their number one receiver, and I think half their receptions.
Yeah, damn near half of those touchdowns were play of the week, contending plays,
Yeah,
just going up
sure.
and getting the ball, basketball background. I loved the talk about kind of being a prototypical, tight end with the basketball background and that kind of stuff. So pretty cool.
I mean, like I said in the story, Jeremiah Valeraga was one of the best tight ends in county history and one of the best athletes really in county history. And, so he's in a good spot there to learn that position in a short span of time. And so, so let's kind of eke into the fourth period here. And I guess we'll start with that game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to do like a cut here as since we're gonna have to break the
so talking about there you go, perfect.
If we were at if we could once again be in multiple places, that's one of the games that we would want to cover. That's the winner of that game gets the third automatic berth in the St. Louis League. So Channel Islands has a chance to go back to the playoffs for the first time since 2013, which is a long time to be without postseason football. So it'd be absolutely monumental for that team. And it's a tough matchup because Carp has run the ball really well in league play. And, so that's a coin flip game. I honestly haven't done the picks yet, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that game. But I think before we go any further, we should kind of mention that, it's Halloween weekend. Because it's Halloween weekend, Halloween's on a Friday this year. Most of the games are going to be played on Thursday, which will give those teams another day to prepare for the postseason, and also kind of let the local authorities kind of keep the city safe, on Halloween and focus those efforts and not have to run security at the football game. The game's on Thursday.
That aspect of it. That's cool.
I mean, I think that's why the Santa Paula Fillmore game is on Thursday, because I don't think VPD would do the game on Friday. Camarillo at St. Bonaventure. These are the Thursday, October 30th games. Camarillo at St. Bonaventure, Westlake at Calabasas, which is again Westlake going for the 10-0. Calabasas needs that win to stay in the playoff race.
They've won 2
Buena
straight.
at Moore.
Looked phenomenal last week. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, that's one of the games of the week. Buena at Moore Park, Royal at Oak Park, Challenge at Carpinteria, as we mentioned, Fillmore at Santa Paula, as we mentioned, Wainimi at Agura, Del Sol at Nordhoff. Those are your Thursday games.
And
Then
we
there's
had it as Fillmore at Santa Paula because that's what it was supposed to be. But obviously, as we
Right.
mentioned, at Larrabee Stadium Thursday night.
Fillmore versus Santa Paula at Ventura. And then Friday, October 31st, you've got essentially the Romani League decisive moment. Pacifica has a share of the title. They play at Bishop Diego. Bishop Diego can grab a share of the title with that win. They're able to get it up at La Playa Stadium, arguably the best place to watch a high school football game in the country. Oaks Christian at Simi Valley, which is the decisive moment in the Romani League last year. Now it's two teams who really need a win to try to boost their at-large postseason availability. Rio Mesa at Newbury Park. Newbury needs to win that game to clinch an automatic postseason berth. TO at Santa Barbara, which is a really interesting game with nothing riding on it except for maybe Santa Barbara trying to stay in the playoff race. Ventura at Oxnard, which is only the 101-year-old rivalry game on the west side. So you're going to have Ventura at Oxnard and Oxnard, and you're going to have the day after Fillmore at Santa Paula. So, which are two games that are a century old, the kind of the bedrock of Ventura County football. So it's kind of rivalry weekend.
I love it.
And then Santa Clara at Grace. Santa Clara, finishing up their first season back at 11-man football. Anything out of that schedule you want to pick at here as we kind of wind down?
Well, I would just note, the Ventura Oxnard rivalry. Like I said, Oxnard looked, the best they've looked. They're still winless, but yeah, I'm sure there will be a lot of extra juice. Just last game of the season, last shot at a win, and so there's that. Fillmore Santa Paula we talked about. That Westlake Calabasas game. So I watched some of the Calabasas win over Rio Mesa, just working on the roundup, and man, I just anytime that we talked about kind of the explosiveness of of Westlake skill position players, their secondary. That's got to be one of the best comps between these two teams now. Is that it's just like who has the edge on these skill position players. You have Kingston Salibi, you have Kane Miller, just so much talent at all the skill positions.
They're really kind of similar teams. You got, arguably the two of the best running backs around. You've got two of the best kind of skill position sets, two really good young quarterbacks. That's two coaches with a lot of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I think Kerry Harris is not Casey Clausen's immediate successor at Calabasas, but obviously the Clausens were at Calabasas and led Calabasas to probably their most successful seasons there. So that's a huge game. I think we need to point out Pacifica, Westlake, Ventura, Agora, and Grace all have clinched a share of the league titles. The 5 local league titles. They need to win again, or the team in second place needs to lose this weekend for them to win those championships outright. There's been a lot of people texting me saying that Pacifica needs to beat Bishop Diego this week to win the Romani League. That is not true. There's no head-to-head tiebreakers in high school sports, according to CIF. The way it works, they used to have to have the tiebreakers back in the old format in the playoffs because the league champions would be seated higher than the runners up and the third place team. So they used to have to break those ties. They no longer do have to because the system is now different. It's based on the numbers. It's not based on head-to-head tiebreakers. So they don't break those tiebreakers. Obviously, the way I kind of say is if you got 2 5-1 team or 2 4-1 teams, and we'll say Dom beat Joe. I like to say Dom gets 75% of the Dom's got Dom's got 75% of the title. Joe's got a little share, but obviously you want that head to head. You want that, you want to beat that team head to head. It feels better when you do that. But technically, in that scenario, we would be co-champions. Sorry, dude.
Bummer.
And then you've also got, we got teams that are trying to clinch their league titles outright. And the flip side of that is you got teams trying to grab their shares, and then you've got teams trying to clinch the automatic playoff spots, and that's St. Bonaventure in the Romani League. They can do so by beating Camarillo. That's Newbury Park in the Coastal Canyon. They're playing Rio. That's
Calabasas,
Moore Park.
right, in Conejo as well.
So if Newbury loses, then Calabasas, if they beat Westlake, they'll get in. Moore Park in the Channel League, they need to win to Oak Park Buena. So Oak Park
Buena
needs to win.
There's a very convoluted Oak Park needs to win and would need
Oak Park wins. If they beat
Royal, right? That's who they're playing.
Then they clinch their I got turned around there. Yeah, Oak Park, if they win, they're in. Buena needs Oak Park to lose, and they need to beat Moore Park. And then Dos Pueblos play San Marcos, obviously not our area, but in the Tri-County League, you essentially have a play-in game between Dos Pueblos and San Marcos. And in the Citrus Coast League, you essentially have a play-in game between Channel Islands and Carpinteria, like we mentioned when we started this segment. So,
and if they needed any more extra juice, right, in that Fillmore-Santa Paula game, like if Santa Paula could upset Fillmore, I say upset just because of the injuries and stuff. I think it's a toss-up otherwise, but if Santa Paula can get that win, that would likely boost their their chances of getting an at-large bid as well.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen in the past in that game, there's been upsets in that game. Certainly, Fillmore's the favorite. They're 8-1. They look great, but Santa Paula, before they lost their quarterback, looked every bit as good.
They were looking great.
And if they're able to get Vega back ahead of the playoffs, I mean, they should be a playoff team. I think if they win that game, they'd be 6-4. It'd be tough to keep them out of the playoffs. I think they would be in. Although, sometimes don't get me started on the way that the non-qualifiers make the postseason. So we'll be around forever. But anyway, but yeah, that I hope now everybody is kind of ready for week 10. I think that's those are the main things. And we will be back next week to wrap up the regular season.
And we'll see how right our projections were. Because we will have those playoff seedings out, I believe, Sunday morning, yeah?
Sunday morning, it'd be a busy
Saturday morning?
moment.
Sunday morning. Saturday morning?
It's usually Sunday morning.
Sunday morning.
Pretty sure it's Sunday. Yeah, Sunday morning. I will
Awesome.
give you the exact moment right now. It is Sunday at 10 a.m. for 11-man football.
Love it.
Practice.
And you guys get double the football, or maybe 1.5 times the football, depending on what we end up getting out to. But two nights of football that we will have coverage from this week.
Double the football.
Love it.
Double the football, Tommy.
Double the football. All right, guys. I think that's
Triple
everything.
the football when you include flag football. Flag football Saturday night. The semifinals. Whoever wins tonight.
Love it. Awesome. Anything else, Joe? All good?
Let's go, baby.
Awesome. Till next time, guys.
Good job.
Appreciate you.
It comes down to this for Thousand Oaks in their season. It is a gift to Martin. Martin gets the first down and more. It's a nice little screen to the left-hand side. One play and see ya later. Caldera dives into the end zone. Touchdown Oxnard. What a fitting way to end that run. He's at the 40. He's at the 20. 10, 5, touchdown.